Pranams everyone.
Pranams Daaji. Hearty welcome to today's the first day session with Telangana Abhyasis. We are very happy to have you, Daaji. Today we have on our panel all the center coordinators, 85 of them, and all JETSIs, Daaji.
Center coordinators and
Zone coordinators, 9 of them, yeah.
okay. And we have a lot of abhyasis also in the background. No?
Yeah,
One-
1.9 thousand, yeah.
okay. क्या समय है?
They-
Exactly. Okay. Well, okay. Let's all offer prayers. 9 o'clock prayer. Okay. Please start. That's all.
Daji, today we have brother Anirudh and sister Rachna with us. They're going to anchor the program. So they have few questions for you.
Thank you.
Namaste, Daaji. Would you
Namaste.
kindly share your experience with your first exposure with Babaji Maharaj?
Rachna. Why such a question? I've tried to explain my and describe it in so many places on so many occasions. Well, it's always a joy to talk about Babuji Maharaj, and I hope you don't get fed up of listening. That's the only fear I have. I had the fortune of starting this practice sometime in August, 12th August 1976. And I had to wait very long time. The summer of 1977, during my college holidays, took up a train and went to Shahjahanpur with my friend. There were two of us, and perhaps that was my first out of Gujarat visit. Reaching Shahjahanpur railway station, when we are wearing these badges, the cycle, pedal rickshaw people, they recognize that, yes, you are going to see Babuji Maharaj. So immediately they say, sir, we'll take you straight to ashram, but will not take you to Babuji's house. I say, I'm not asking you kind of a thing, but nearing his house, he said, यहाँ पे बाबूजी महाराज रहते हैं, बट हम आश्रम जाएंगे क्योंकि रात को उनके घर जाना मना है। बोला, ठीक है, नहीं जाएंगे। तो सुबह हुई, तैयार होके चले गए। 9 बजे थे सुबह के, और बाबूजी महाराज नहा धो के तैयार बैठे थे, परफेक्ट व्हाइट ड्रेस, व्हाइट बनियन एंड व्हाइट धोती, was sitting in his usual room called Lalaji's room, and behind whom there is a window looking towards outside street. He would sit and say, "अभी हम पूजा करेंगे." तो ठीक है, तो we just sat down around him. There were hardly 6, 7 of us. Said that's all, and we were asked to go back to ashram. So there was no interaction except this beautiful sitting with him. The next day, same thing. We came in the morning, sat with him, and went back to ashram. Third day was evening time. We had to leave Babuji Maharaj. Morning we could not visit because we were told today Babuji is not well and he likes to be excused. So that was it. In the evening before leaving back for Gujarat, we wanted to offer prasad. So on the way to the train station, we stopped by. It was around quarter to 9 or 9 o'clock, around this time. He was surrounded by few elders, about 2 or 3 elders, not many. And one of them was Gunde Raoji. And so many of you are familiar with this person, Gunde Rao. So when he noticed that we two were present, we, s- we remained at a distance, almost 15, 20 feet away from these elders, not to disturb them. We just sat on the charpoy and just relaxed. So one elderly person came. He said, "क्या चाहते हो?" मैंने बोला, "ये प्रसाद करना है." So I gave him the prasad, and Babuji orders Gunde Rao, offer it to Lalaji Maharaj and bring it back. So that's how the prasad was offered. We received it via another person, and then he conveys the message via same elderly person that tell that young boy to take butter, take the tablets he is taking, medicine he is taking with butter. We had no conversation at all about my medicines or things like that. And you don't expect a young person on medicine, you see. But it was amazing to see Babuji telling this elderly person. His name was Prabhudas from South Gujarat. Very elderly, I would say. He was already then 75 plus, almost the same age as Babuji, perhaps 2, 3 years younger. And later I could find, and I have shared this idea also, why did Babuji say that, and how did he perceive it? That was all. But leaving him was choking me from inside. I was crying and crying and crying for no reason. But the reason was quite obvious that missing this giant, spiritual giant, I felt kind of disillusioned at that moment and so sad. You cannot imagine. Moment we took say bye to him and started reaching out to the railway station, the tears started and didn't stop till Delhi. Overnight, all night through, I was crying in that, coach, railway coach. Then somehow it subsided because of these activities. Now we have to change the train and then coming back to Ahmedabad. So that had a very deep impact on me on a spiritual level. Say. The imprints of those moments is very deep. Something that he did, I don't know how many lives we needed to digest such a spiritual wealth. Coming back to this idea of why he told me to take butter with the medicine I was taking. At that time, it didn't make any sense to me why he's telling me to take that particular medicine with butter. I was taking 2, 3 stuffs at that time, some Ayurvedic herbs and a griseofulvin. And I came to know about griseofulvin, if taken with butter, it increases its bioavailability. So blood circulation में ज़्यादा आता है. Otherwise, 80-90% will go out unabsorbed in your bloodstream. Okay. So the need to take it with butter or some fatty substances, which I came to know only 1982 or so. But this episode was 1977. So he was much ahead of the science actually. And a lot of herbs and the chemicals present in the herbs, Ayurvedic herbs, they get easily absorbed. हम पानी तो लेते ही हैं, but if you take it with butter, I think its potency increases manifold. But there are water soluble and there are oil soluble contents in Ayurvedic herbs. When you take it with them, I think bioavailability of this medicine, it increases sometimes double, triple, quadruple also. So you could see the beauty, sensitivity of Babaji Maharaj, the quiet work that he performed on us was amazing. I mean, just cannot explain. And not, I had no complaint whatsoever that he did not talk directly. No, it was not necessary that a person of that caliber should directly talk to you. Who the hell are you to demand such a talk from a great personality like that? So it's best to keep quiet and absorb what he is trying to give us. Today's culture is a bit different. If I don't look at even, they feel bad. Oh, Daji didn't even acknowledge my presence. They feel bad. They feel offended. They have to touch the feet. They have to say goodbye in person. They have to say, I am here. It's a wrong understanding because I do know that Babuji wished that whenever they came to Shahjahanpur, to the ashram, they should acknowledge their presence and leave with acknowledgement. That does not mean that you have to meet them with Babuji Maharaj physically. No. He seated somewhere to namaskaram. That's all from a distance. And even this is not necessary. I shared with you another example that was perhaps in my third or fourth visit to Babuji Maharaj. Prema Ben had given me and another lady called Viru Ben Patel from Ahmedabad. She used to send few things now and then to whoever went to Babuji Maharaj. So she had sent some ghee and some achar, pickles. Not that Babuji was fond of pickles, but it is for the guests who came to his house and you know how much Babuji can supply. So a lot of Abhyasis did give things like pickles and things like that, ghee. So I was carrying these two pots in my hand, you know, with the handle, aluminum handle on my, and Babuji was standing right, I mean, sitting in a chair there. I couldn't do namaste because these two pots are in my hands, you see. But with with my heart, I bowed down, and it was, you know, he noticed I was entering the main gate, and he was sitting in his usual chair in the veranda. He almost got up halfway through and did like this, and I did not even move my hands. But my heart was melting with so much of supplication, with so much of supplication and love that I bowed with my heart. And that was enough. He acknowledged it. Halfway through, he got up like this. Then I had to put my pots down and then stand into namaskaram from a distance. But he was the one who acknowledged the invisible reverence that we shower on him. See? And that is worth imbibing, worth seeing. You know, I get irritated when people join us with video and they keep their videos dark. It's better to remove them. You know, remove those abhyasi. Stop that. Okay. Remove that also. But it's not able to go. Either you be present and show yourself or just move out of the screen. Eject them out, disconnect them. Anyway, so that you can, there's so much to share about it's small incidents. You know, there are things in our lives where you spend hardly 2 minutes or 3 minutes with such personalities, but it has a lifelong impact on you. While there are other contradictory things also where you spend years and years with some friends and you know so-called friends and relatives, but they have no impact on your life. Day in and day out, you are dealing with them, but their impact on life is almost zero. But personalities of that height, those heights, They make permanent impact on your heart in such a way that you can never forget them. There is your head bows down with a lot of reverence and love. Then you start automatically belonging to such a person. See? Automatically. See? You don't have to try hard and say, oh, he's my master. That is too much of an ego. My master. Who the hell are you to say he's my master? I am his. That's a better attitude. In normal conversations, we may say, okay, my master, etc. But our attitude should be, you see, I belong to my master. It's a big difference in it. See, sometimes you can understand the relationship between husband and wife when husband is trying to introduce the family to other people. You know how they start? Some people will start, oh, meet my wife, as if you own her. See, you can say, see, so and so, she is my wife. Name first, identity first, and then our relationship. Some of you who has watched Ramayana or Mahabharata, you will notice where Kanha or Arjun or Yudhishthir, they introduce themselves. They say, I am the disciple of Drona, or I am the disciple of Parshuram, or I am the son of Kunti. They don't say, Kunti is my mother. They don't say, Drona is my master or guru. No. So there, it's a big difference in attitudes. I belong to this mission. I belong to this master. That is enough. That in itself is a big pride, you can say. We all should be proud of that. I belong to. When we say he is mine, then the sense of belonging also drops manifold. It's as if you own masters or you are a member of Sri Ramchandra Mission. No. It's true you are the member, but this sense of belonging is a different matter altogether. So whosoever met Babuji Maharaj, I think they became permanently his. That was his magic. See. How he did, I don't know. Total love, total commitment. And he never tried to impress anyone. He had no logical arguments to argue with us. He did what he had to do. Very simple. He did not praise this or he did not praise that, nothing of that. So he did not even criticize you directly, but indirectly he would say, oh, you should, to somebody else, that you should be doing this, but it actually applied to you. So he was so shy in offering advice also, because even when you offer advice, it creates problem. If not in the beginning, it creates problem later on. Why did you give me that advice? It's a big problem. Recently I've been talking about how we form granthis, how we form knots. How do you say granthis in Telugu? Eh? Mudi. Mudhi. Mudi. Do you know how we form mudi? You tighten it, right? There's a thread, and you tighten the thread. And more you tighten it, it's difficult to remove it afterwards. See? And he used to call this Hridaya Chakra or Atma Chakra, all the as he would not call them as chakra. And many years I spent thinking, why not chakra? The whole yogic sastra talks about chakra system. Where Babuji is perhaps the only personality who uses this word granthi or knots so widely. Why? Because all of us have granthi, we don't have chakras. Our chakras are sleeping. When granthis are unraveled and they open up like lotus or flowers opening up and they come to full form, then they assume the form of chakra. Until then, they're all granthis. And how do we form granthis? You already know, but I had this novel idea of explaining. Suppose you had a small thread. Even if you don't do anything and you keep it in your pocket, what happens to it? And perchance, if you had two threads or three threads, what happens? It gets jumbled up. And then to remove them and separate them individually takes a lot of time and energy. Now, why I'm saying this? This also explains why a lot of us in the family have a lot of trouble with our dearest ones. We fight, we become angry only with our loved ones, husband with wife, wife with husband, children with parents. You don't fight with so much of passion with the outside world. Why only with the loved ones? Wife has been serving you every morning. She prepares tea for you, prepares breakfast for you, and yet you hammer her. Vice versa. And this constant battle between the loved ones is it's a non-stop thing. Why? Because of this knot formations. Knot is not only between, not only within yourself, but it can exist between two individuals or many individuals. For example, let us say you have an idea, wife has an idea that she like to explore something in a particular direction. Husband suppose says, no, I will not let you do that. That is another idea, another thought. Whenever there is a conflict, it crosses. So there is a battle, emotional battle in energy at energy levels. But if they were in agreement, this battle would not occur. And more agreements are there. That does not mean you have to agree at all the time. All the time, there will be moments when you disagree, and because of this disagreement between ideas, thoughts, and feelings, you form knots after knots after knots, and we create this web of disagreement. And it's always in the sight because the other person whom we love so much is always in the sight. So it's a constant reminder to us of this web, the differences that we all share. The good things that we have, nobody remembers. They remember only what she said 2 years back or 20 years back. You remember it so well. And then at the right time, you hammer it back. This is what human beings are. See? And these knot formations always remains with us unless and until we do our daily cleaning. Somehow we miss out cleaning the essential stuff from our life. We remove all nonsense, small things. But this fundamental thing we are not able to resolve at all. And it perhaps dies with us. And unless and until this account with the other person is settled, the same person will come back to you with vengeance in another life. As they say, "Na bahut pyar karta hu. I love you so much, I like to be born with you again in the next life." Even if you don't ask and you fight like hell, she will be there or he will be there again because she had still unfinished accounts to be settled. And each birth, each transmigration becomes worse and worse. because the foundation of your not formation is based on disagreements, crossing each other, arguing with each other. Instead of leading a life together under the same roof with love for the same master, what what troubles you so much? So the harmony, see, love, unity, respect for each other. And when we change this equation that I belong to my master and she also belongs to my master, my children also belongs to my master, then there will be some respect, there will be some honor. But you live like two islands and strangers in a family, you will come back again. The same person whom you hate so much. Hatred continues. So put an end to this, please. Don't torture yourself. Differences are most welcome actually when he or she points you that I do not agree with you. Okay, don't fight on that. It's a disagreement, it's a different opinion. And if you take it as a different opinion, maybe your search or your idea will take another height. You'll have a different perspective to look at it. But we often rebel and say, to hell with you, I'm not going to listen to you. Then there are problems. I'm sorry. Okay, next one. Who is that? Anirudh. Okay,
Hello, Daaji.
hello.
Uh, you have been stressing bhakti in most of the sessions and recent talks. You also said that anybody can be a yoga brashta, karma brashta, or jnana brashta, but nobody can be bhakti brashta once bhakti is achieved. Are there any specific ways that you can suggest for us to inculcate such bhakti that we can practice on a daily basis in this modern day world?
The beauty of bhakti is that bhakti can never be practiced. Bhakti is a state that we arrive at. See, when you say love, how will you practice love? You have to arrive at a state of loving, you see. You are attracted towards someone that automatically opens up your heart. It's not a process. Love is not a process. Bhakti is not a process. Karma Yoga can be a process. Ashtanga Yoga can be a process. Gyan Yoga can be a process that I read this book and I read that book and you acquire knowledge. You do this asana, that asana, pranayam, and yama, niyama. Those are things of doing. But in bhakti, we simply relax. There is not much of doing there. Relax, be at the feet of your master. That is enough. Don't jump around when you are already in that state of upasana. Upasana means up means above and vasana means to settle. You always are settled at the feet of your Lord. That is the attitude of bhakta. Bhakta does not say, he is my master. No. Bhakta says, I belong to my master. So it's only a matter of attitude. It's a matter of understanding. Okay. Bhakti is an outcome. Just as Babuji Maharaj says, constant remembrance, it is an outcome of doing a proper meditation. Then this constant remembrance will be very natural. Otherwise, you say, oh, I'm practicing constant remembrance without meditation. It will be only artificial. It is like a putting a cart before the horse. There too, there's a big difference. Either you take the horse to the cart or take the cart to the horse, which is more laborious and unnatural. You know it, right? So he also emphasized that the meditation is the mother Janani of Satat Smaran, of constant remembrance. Without mother, you can't have a child. So meditation comes first. And when we experience this very subtle, very refined condition inside, we fall in love with those conditions. We start liking those conditions. That reminds us who gave you those conditions. So automatically you remember the person who gave you those conditions, the master. Indirectly it starts simmering in your heart. And because of this, experiences after experiences, gifts after gifts, spiritual gifts, you start admiring the giver, and slowly this love flowers in your heart towards the giver. And again, this love further transforms itself into bhakti. Bhakti cannot be translated very easily. If you see some of Babaji's statements, he said love and devotion. You replace this devotion with the word called bhakti. Bhakti is a combination of so many things. It's a very beautiful word in Sanskrit. It cannot be translated in English. It requires many words to define one single phenomena, and then too it is incomplete. Bhakti means love. Bhakti means reverence. Bhakti means obedience. Bhakti means saranagati. Bhakti, it means so many things, you see. It, how are you going to cultivate? I don't think you can cultivate it. No. If you say I'm going to develop bhakti because all will become karma bhrashti and brahma rakshasas and gyan bhakti also, I mean gyan bhrashti bhi hoti hai. So let me put all my efforts into bhakti so that I don't fall. That is also a wrong attitude. Bhakti has no reason. It just happens. So the root of all this is our proper practice. And see how this daily practice can lead us to. And bhakti will always lead us into one thing, merger. Did Radha meditate? I don't know. But the way her lifestyle was, I don't think she ever meditated. But every breath of hers was in the thought of Lord Krishna. You think of Rabia, the Sufi saint from the Middle East. Did she ever meditate? Did she do namaz in the mosques? In fact, she used to make fun of these qazis and namazis. It was only love, say, devotion. And in short, I would say bhakti, because love and devotions, I would say, they are still short of the marks. Okay. Next one, please.
Can the heart be called a subtle body? As I do not hear Shastras speaking of heart as a subtle body to my knowledge, is Antakarna and the heart the same?
क्या बोलती है? हाँ?
Is the antahkarana and the heart are the same?
I'll just repeat the question, Savik Bhai.
Please, okay.
The heart be called a subtle body, as I do not hear Shastra speaking of heart as subtle body to my knowledge. Is Antakarna and the heart same?
Okay. Antakarna means listening with your inner ears. Right? With these ears, यहाँ से सुनता है, यहाँ से निकल जाता है. Heart is one way. So in that sense, you can say antakaran can be compared, can be understood as our antakaran because it listens and there is no way out. So whenever you listen with the heart, it stays with you. With the antakaran, where you are applying your inner heart, the feelings of your heart, and with that you are listening to someone, then it is antakaran. एक्सटर्नल ये बाह्यकरण है यहाँ से सुना यहाँ से चला जाएगा so that's why Lord Jesus also in Bible he talks about this you you are hearing but you are not listening इधर से आता है इधर से चला जाता है ऐसे but when we listen with heart antakaran then it stays with us our next job is to digest it. Suppose you had good food, Rachna, your mother cooked nice food for you, and if it gives you diarrhea, or if you are not able to digest, then that food is a waste for you. In fact, not just the waste, but such food has proven that it is not healthy for you. Now compare this food that we get, spiritual food that we get from Master, from Babuji Maharaj, in the form of pranahuti, in the form of grace, right? Now, what is it that you would say this is digestion? How would you digest pranahuti? This is a question I put before you all, and all those who are listening from other zones, other parts of the world. Think over how would you digest pranahuti? It did not give answers. Just leave that question in your heart, in your antahkaran. Say, okay. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. Uh, Everybody feels good when they initially meditate after taking 3 sittings. Not a single person we heard has said that meditation is not good. But why don't people come back to meditate again after that?
They will come back because 3 sittings are given. If not now, at least in next life. Babuji is very confident about seeding, spiritual seeding, that they will come back. See? Most people do not show up in this life because that awakening has not happened in them as yet. Sometimes what happens, father says, Bete, start meditation. Or mother forces you, oh, your children are not meditating. You see, our whole family says Margi, and you are the only one left out. So just to satisfy parents, they will start. So, for those who have no real or authentic or sincere reason to start, they have no real reason also to leave. They simply leave and let them be. You see, Babuji Maharaj says, we don't take panga with such people. Let them be. One day they will come back because the seed has been sown. See? I have seen many of my friends from college days. They came back after 30 years. As a preceptor also, when we had given a few sittings to individuals, they come back 10 years later, 20 years later. Not everybody comes back in this lifetime. Hopefully, they'll come next time. Our job as preceptors, as volunteers, as abhyasis, you recommend the system. If they continue, fine. If they don't break your heart. Imagine what happens to God. If he was worried about nobody is loving me, how many people love God anyway? And even if they do, they will all feel, I mean, God will feel, what a selfish lot I have. They're asking me because they want my wife to be cured from COVID. Nothing wrong. But they approach me only when she's sick. They come to me when there is a trouble in the family. They come to me when there is exams. They come to when they have failure in businesses, when they come to me for all kinds of reasons. But for the real reason, no one goes. Does God end up dissolving this universe because we are all wrong? No. So, if you really want to become godlike, become indifferent to such things. Aata hai, jata hai. Don't be too excited because 100 people started because of you. Because you have started another 10,000 who are not even meditating. So adopt this idea. Our job is to introduce, let them become familiar with the system. It's enough. Cat time over. 55. I think they will also need to translate, I suppose. Is it?
Yes, Daji, we'll do that.
Okay. So, so let's not extend it more. So please go proceed with this Telugu translation. Okay. So कल मिलते हैं 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daji. Have a good night.
You too. You too. Good night.